storm, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
You know, sometimes I think that they sit back and laugh every time that they get all of us podcasters and news writers and everybody to go, this is it. It's time for the Star Wars storm. Well, we're going to wait for now. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe. And of course, with me is my good buddy, Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. Like, I thought with the announcement of all the Force Friday stuff and, you know, a new look at Jedi Fallen Order, that this was the beginning. This was going to be our thrust into the fray. Star Wars nonstop for the next how many months?
Well,
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I think it's right. I mean, it is right around the corner. Like, we are starting to peak around the corner, and I think we're going to get hit in the face with it here.
But I'm struggling with their marketing strategy here because, like, you know, you got a movie coming out in 2 months.
Yep.
A little over 2 months. Right? And you're still not going, hey, you know, we got a movie, you know, there's a movie coming,
Well, I think,
you know, and you're not going, hey, there's this TV series starting next month. Did you hear about that?
right.
They're not doing that. Instead, they give us a week of, here comes all of our stuff. Here's what you get to look at. And then after that, it's like,
right.
At what point do they try to get us excited about this new stuff coming out? I'm having trouble with this. I mean, like I said, you got the Mandalorian in a month.
Yeah.
You got the Rise of Skywalker in 2 months. You've got Resistance this week.
Right. Well,
Why is there nothing to talk about?
I don't know.
We got rumors and hearsay, and we got a little bit of news about Obi-Wan.
Right.
We don't even know when the hell that's coming.
Right. Exactly. But hey, they're moving forward with stuff. That's a good thing.
Agreed, but I mean, they're moving forward for now.
Right.
I mean, if they keep marketing like this, they're going to have to cancel everything because no one's going to see a damn thing.
Oh.
Because no one's going to know about it.
I don't know. I think
us hardcores will.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's where I'm at. So I don't know. But I understand it's got to be sustainable for them to keep doing all this stuff, and they're going to have to get the general masses into it for that. So what's new with Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan. So they have a director.
Right. You.
No.
Oh.
Deborah Chow is being tapped to direct all of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
All.
All.
I thought that was contingency of Ewan coming back to do it. Was that he was going to direct some?
Well, I mean, now this is all hearsay.
Sure.
You know, there's no official announcement.
Well,
no official announcement as to how much.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an official announcement that she has been tapped to direct.
Correct.
The untitled Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series, but there is no official announcement of how much of it she's doing.
Right.
But everything everybody's leaning towards is because they're coming out and saying Deborah Chow is going to direct the
series. Yeah.
Series.
Yeah.
And that sounds pretty definitive. That's
yeah.
That and that is not like what they've done before. Whenever there's been multiple directors brought in, they've never announced a director. They never announced a director for the series when they talked about The Mandalorian.
No, when they announced directors, they announced
all of them.
Load of them, yeah. So, including Dave Filoni, right? I mean, that was interesting.
Yeah,
Now-
and it was all hearsay before, saying that the way they lured Ewan into this was that he would be directing.
True.
Now, they are stating that he's going to get an executive producer credit, which is still a huge credit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, this is a transition we see so many actors make, right? They act for so long and then they want to direct. It's only natural, and it just seemed like this would be the perfect opportunity for him to kind of make that move.
Right.
So I think, maybe that's not the case. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he's going to get the opportunity to direct something else.
Right.
Who knows? He's got to play Obi-Wan and then get a chance to direct something in the future. Don't know. Maybe that's
whoever made the directing announcement, maybe their information was incomplete.
Right.
Maybe he got offered some directing work not tied to the Obi-Wan series.
Right.
Maybe this was a little extra incentive to the contract. Like, okay, you're going to get to direct this. It's possible.
Yeah. Or something to be named in the future. Something
Right.
like that. One of those vague, wide open deals, which I gotta say, I thought it was cool that he would be directing, though, not being in the business, I've always kind of wondered how that works, right? Directing yourself when you're acting, but
Right.
the director we do have now, I must say, this bodes well as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
'Cause-
for sure. I mean, and I guess us jumping right off to the other stuff kind of might have seemed like we were, undermining, if you will,
yeah, maybe.
the importance of Deborah Chow being picked as a director, which is not our intent. This is no slouch of a choice.
Correct. She's got cred. That's for sure.
She's got cred. This is a good choice from what I can tell. And not only that, but coming into this, she's also got it. She's going to come in to direct Obi-Wan. She's already going to have Star Wars cred going into that.
Yes. Coming fresh
Because-
off The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
And not only that, but coming off The Mandalorian and working with people like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And, this is a great choice.
absolutely.
This is one of those moments where you have someone who we always talked about Dave Filoni learning at the feet of the master.
Right.
Now she's worked with Dave Filoni, which is like another apprentice gig,
Yeah.
which even going into The Mandalorian, it's not like she needed, to have another apprentice gig. She's already had a pretty good directing career,
for sure.
but it is Star Wars.
It is Star Wars, exactly. And in lieu of it being Star Wars, I was alluding to you earlier that I was a little disappointed that we haven't heard Dave Filoni's name associated with the Obi-Wan series at all so far. But seeing how she has worked with Dave, and I'm sure, has him in her contact list, I feel pretty good about how do I put it? Pretty good about there still being enough Lucas influence on it. How's that?
Sure.
I mean,
I'd agree with that.
no matter what's done moving forward, right? None of it's going to be done by Lucas. We all know that. So,
Right.
I still like the thought of, 1 or 2 degrees of separation still, right? So, anytime I hear that George gets involved with a project, comes by to check out how a project is going, any of that kind of stuff, yeah, he threw his input in. I'm all for it every time. So, if, as far as Obi-Wan's story goes, if Filoni can, consult, shall we say, I'm all for that too.
Agreed.
But thus far, I would have to say this whole project is in good hands, the way it's sounding.
Yeah, I was looking through her, and I feel a little bit of deja vu here. I feel like we did this last time.
What's
with
that?
the slate of directors we got for The Mandalorian. I have a feeling we went through their IMDb's and talked about that a little bit.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I just got reminded. I have a feeling that I'm going to have to go back and listen to our episode when we talked about that. Because like I said, I had some deja vu.
Sure.
With the thought that, wow, she directed a lot of stuff that I liked, and I didn't realize she directed it.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. We consume so much of this stuff, and we don't really even realize, who's behind it. And then when you find out, ooh, somebody who's behind what I liked before is going to be doing what I'm planning on watching in the future, that's exciting. So.
Well, that's the problem with TV directing, I think. I think in TV directing, you do an episode here, you do
sure
4 episodes here, you do 6 episodes here.
Yep.
The directors don't get as much credit as they probably deserve because, well, first off, some directors do better episodes than others.
Right.
And one of the shows that I really enjoyed, which was Turn.
Yeah, me too.
The episode of Turn that she directed is a damn good episode.
Right.
So that's promising.
Absolutely.
So this definitely gets my mark of approval. I like the announcement. I'd like to see, and not only that, but we talked about sources and things like that for Star Wars and leaning on those that have that Lucas influence, right?
Yep.
Well, I mean, she is going to be working with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
Like, it's not like she's working with a new actor trying to become Obi-Wan.
Right.
No, she's working with Obi-Wan.
Yes. Yeah. He's
So.
This isn't his first rodeo, so to speak, right?
Right.
In Star Wars. Yeah. That's yeah, for sure.
So I have no doubt in my mind that this combination is going to make a fantastic product.
Absolutely.
And I gotta say, so looking at what she's directed and the episodes, like the focus of the episodes of the other series that she's been on, I think Obi-Wan, this series is going to be focused more around more of a drama-like performance than action.
Right.
And I feel like, using that episode of Turn as an example, this is in her wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this such a good choice. I think she's going to be a fantastic director for that drama setting. And I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
I mean, this announcement of this series is like what was the final nail that said, "Hey, I got to get Disney Plus, and I got to buy it for 3 years because I'm willing to commit at this point."
Right.
So, and this boosts that for me.
Yeah, for sure. This right here, Obi-Wan's been referred to as many things, right? It's been referred to as a detective, negotiator, right? So,
yep.
Those sort of aspects of Obi-Wan could be explored in a series like this much deeper than they have thus far. Clone Wars aside, right? Because I think we did delve a lot into that in the Clone Wars, but I think with something like this, we're going to be able to go even deeper. So,
yeah, we're talking story driven, dialogue driven,
yes,
not so action driven.
and I'm thinking honestly that this, we've had this discussion, right? How much, lightsaber dueling madness can you be in? Not much, right?
Right.
This is, those types of stories would be right in her wheelhouse as far as, things it fall right in line with the things she's done in the past. She got several credits on a show called Rain that, is a show my wife liked, and I would watch it with her sometimes. It's a good show. I mean, it's not necessarily the type of show that I really get into a whole bunch, but what I did see of it, it's good, so, and I'm sure I saw some of her episodes in there, and it's along the same lines, right? It's a lot of the like you said, dialogue driven, a lot of how do you put it? Just the storyline twisting back and forth, and
Yeah, I think this will be a good combo because Ewan is also very good at that kind of storytelling.
Oh yeah,
with playing parts in that type of role. Like he's very good at dialogue driven stories.
Yes,
and I think this combination here with this director actor combination, I have high hopes for it. And,
absolutely.
I mean, I always try to look on the bright side of things.
Sure.
But this goes beyond that.
Yep.
This goes into, I feel like they're making the right choices.
Exactly. The right choices. It's another reason to be excited for this series.
Absolutely. All right. Well, speaking of excitement, let's dive into this. How about a little news on Detours?
Okay.
It's not good news.
Oh. That's a bummer.
So, Seth Green talked with Collider, and he was asked about an update on Detours. Like, are we ever going to see it?
Right.
Like, what's going on? And Seth Green had this to say. It's still pretty status quo. My understanding is that Lucasfilm's plan is rooted in new movies and expansive television for Disney Plus. And it doesn't seem right now that they're pursuing this kind of comedy. It's a tough thing because the show was created before the sale to Disney, before the plan to make new movies, before the plan to develop a theme park environment, before the concept of subscriptions of a subscription streaming service that housed several offshoots, including an Obi-Wan show or a Mandalorian show. It's like all that came post us making these 40 episodes, and so I guess I really don't know. I think there would have to be such a clear and vocal fan demand to make anybody want to shift their plan, because right now it doesn't seem like the company plan includes this kind of deconstructive comedy coexisting with these sincere interpretations of these characters. So, y'all heard it in there.
Right.
I think there would have to be such a clear and vocal fan demand.
Right.
Well, let's speak up. We want to see Detours, damn it.
We definitely want to see Detours. I still think, no matter how loud we got about that, I don't think it would happen. I don't think it would happen.
I don't, like, I've seen all the trailers and all the stuff they've released for Detours.
Yep.
As
so
many of us have.
Right.
And I understand it's that he's saying here deconstructive comedy. I don't really see it at that. It's not deconstructive, maybe self-deprecating. Like, I don't think it's deconstructive. It's comedy that is Star Wars making fun of itself.
Right. Now,
but I don't feel like it's Star Wars destroying itself.
No. But okay, so there's another thing he says here, right, which might shed a little more light on what we're getting at. Okay?
Yep.
He says, "Well, I imagine if it's just a robot chicken special, it lives in a slightly different world than something that was produced by Lucasfilm and created by George Lucas. It's a little easier for the company to have external parodies than it is for them to present their own characters in a deconstructive way." Okay. So,
really? Do you think that's how they feel?
Well, it's, let's see. Here we go. The trick about something like Detours is not actually a parody. It really was conceived to be a Simpsons-style narrative within the Star Wars universe. And so all of the characters are just different interpretations of the characters. So it's not the same as taking something that everyone's aware of and sort of twisting it and offering it from a different perspective. But we don't have a plan to make a Spaceballs type project. All of the other stuff, blah, blah, blah. So what he's getting at is that the original concept was this was the characters, okay, the Star Wars characters. So I'm not even going to throw the C word into any of this, right? But like, it was supposed to be kind of like all those moments that are, how do you put it? Off camera, okay, from the movies, and these same characters put into hilarious situations. Okay, it's not taking what we saw in the movies and reinterpreting those scenes into something funny like they do with Robot Chicken. That's what he's getting at. So I guess from that point of view, I can see where Disney wouldn't want to.
So you think that, are you saying that Disney would think that people would misconstrue this as canon? Is that why you were leaving that word out? Like,
well, only because
that's bull.
Only because they've said everything coming out from this point forward is canon. So if they were to release it,
well, they're contradicting themselves. So I don't even see how they can even argue this at this point.
I'm with you on that, but I don't know, man.
This is rollout canon. Is that canon? I need them to make this clear.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
Is Galaxy of Adventures canon? Because I mean, that's taking the canon and just taking a big dump on it.
It's warping it. Let's just say it's warping it. Yeah. Okay. I hear what you're saying. I
mean, because and I don't mean it like that. Like, I understand the point that they're making with Galaxy of Adventures, okay? But if they're saying that they don't want to do this because it would, warp the canon, that's why I got a little overzealous there, okay?
Sure.
And if they're saying that, well, this will warp the canon, you are literally taking scenes and rewriting them for Galaxy of Adventures.
Right.
You're rewriting scenes that are already done in canon on screen.
Yes.
So if you're willing to do that, why is a little slapstick humor a problem?
Yeah, I can't answer that because I would get a kick out of watching it. So
I think everybody would get a kick out of watching it, and this would be successful.
Yes.
In fact, this is probably the real problem. It'd probably be more successful than a lot of the stuff they've put out.
I tend to agree. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these guys were sitting around the conference table with George himself talking about all these stories. They've got 40 episodes.
And that's probably the real problem.
Yes, I agree.
That's probably the real problem. Like, okay, maybe this was shelved for a while, and then George Lucas got pissed off about his treatments for the sequel trilogy.
Right.
And they're like, all right, this just goes in the dungeon for good.
Yeah. It could be something like that. I mean, I don't know. Lately,
because I don't understand how you can say, well, we don't feel like this fits the Star Wars mold, the mold, you know?
Right.
And it's like, really? You don't feel like this fits the Star Wars mold? I mean, George Lucas kind of helped make this crap.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Darth Vader's right there in it.
I mean, if George Lucas was giving it his stamp, I don't know how this doesn't fit the Star Wars mold.
Exactly. Lately we've been seeing, okay, with the release of Bob Iger's book and things of that nature, we've been seeing the back end of things here, right? The business side of the goings on that have happened over the past several years, and it's a lot. The impression that I've been getting is things are a lot more clinical than I'd like to see from the people in charge of Star Wars. They're it's almost like emotionless business. You know what I'm saying? I would like to think that there's people in charge, I guess you could say, but the keepers of the Star Wars, you know, who are doing it because they love it. I gotta. This might be unpopular, but I don't get the impression that Bob Iger loves Star Wars. How's that?
I'll take it a step further.
Okay.
I think he does love Star Wars. He loves the dollar amount that comes with Star
Right.
Wars.
Yes.
Okay, this is why he was involved in making a decision to purchase this product for $4 billion.
Right.
Because he loves the dollar amount that comes with this.
Yes. I would agree with that. 100%.
And whatever, he's a CEO. That's what he's supposed to do. But I'm going to tell you this: when Bob Iger, since he's the CEO of a big corporation like Disney, when he stands up there and says, "Our love for Star Wars," blah 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 blah. No, you're full of crap, dude. You don't give a damn.
Right.
Okay, you could care less about Star Wars. Your love in this world is money.
And that's okay. To be fair, that's his job. Okay. Yes, but like
I don't buy it.
Well, no. The best way I could put this is, in the purchase of Star Wars, he was viewing it as purchasing a brand, not purchasing stories.
Right.
But Star Wars as a brand was huge, right? So I think that's what he was looking at. And, you know, the results of that are what we've been seeing lately. So,
well, I think this is more a byproduct of Disney's overall business goal lately.
right.
Which is less about making lighthearted, you know, stuff the kids are going to love and stuff that, you know, just the average moviegoer is going to love. It's going to be funny. It's going to be lighthearted. It's going to, you know, and more about like, it's got to have a social message no matter what.
Right.
And I don't think Detours is going to have that. Detours is going to be messageless.
Exactly.
I mean, Detours is going to be just, it's going to be like, and you said it in this, it's going to be like The Simpsons.
Right.
Family Guy.
Yeah.
You know, Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
You know, it's just going to be slapstick, just humor. That's that. No real story. It's just going to be fun.
Yep. Well, I guess for now, it's not going to be.
My personal opinion is Star Wars needs a little fun.
Absolutely.
Right, and that was my praise for Resistance.
Right.
Is that Resistance was just fun.
Exactly.
And yeah, I have a feeling that they're going away from that a little bit with Resistance.
Well, it's kind of reached a darker time in the timeline, so it's understandable.
Yeah, I get that.
But, you know, this would be the sort of thing that was created as something fun for fun's sake. So,
right. I mean,
like
if that's their intention with Rollout or Galaxy of Adventures, that's falling flat.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait a little longer.
I don't want to start getting mad about this stuff because I've been doing so good about not getting mad.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's just seeing the bright side of everything.
Right.
But more and more with decisions like this one really bothers me. You have 40 episodes. This was an investment, albeit by Lucasfilm before the sale to Disney.
Yes.
But this was an investment that was made. Money was spent. Things were done. George Lucas gave it his stamp.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, it doesn't fit where we're headed.
Right. Which makes people like me wonder, where is it that you are headed? Because this is something we probably could have used.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I don't understand what your goal is to where something like this is going to damage it.
Right.
Like, I start to wonder if your goal is telling Star Wars stories or if your goal is something else. Because if your goal is telling Star Wars stories, I don't see how this is going to break that.
No.
This everything I've seen, this is so over the top and so, dare I use the word again, slapsticky.
Right.
That there is no way in hell that this is going to ruin what you're doing in the canon of Star Wars.
No, it wouldn't
It's
at
just
all.
not even possible. So, like you said, what is the goal? Maybe you need to share that with us.
Right.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right, so I'm going to do my best to be a little more positive for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Even though the next thing is kind of a hot button topic lately is, should Palpatine return to Star Wars or should he be left to rest? It's kind of been a big discussion lately.
Yeah.
Well, J.J. weighed in, right?
Yes, he did. But you're right. Ever since we heard Palpatine laugh at the end of that teaser, this has been getting kicked back and forth, and some people like the idea of Palpatine coming back, and some people hate it. So, JJ did weigh in. I'm reading from Slash Film here. He said, some people feel like we shouldn't revisit the idea of Palpatine, and I completely understand that. But if you're looking at these 9 films as one story, I don't know many books where the last few chapters have nothing to do with those that have come before. If you look at the first 8 films, all the setup of what we're doing in 9 are there in plain view. So, it's a rather vague statement in reference to Palpatine, but in a sense, when you look at the first 6 films, he has been orchestrating everything. So, in that sense, I can kind of see how it could be possible that he was orchestrating even more beyond that has yet to play out. And if Palpatine, 1, either did not die, or 2, is resurrected, or 3 is a clone, or whatever, however he comes back, if Palpatine is yet to be taken out for good, in my mind, I think you need the Chosen One to come back and actually finish the job. Because that is the one complaint that a lot of people have, is if Palpatine comes back, it makes what Anakin did and then his ultimate sacrifice meaningless. So,
But so I'll play counter to that real quick. Is that true though? Because his sacrifice was meant for Luke to move forward. In Vader's mind, he wasn't doing it to bring balance to the Force. He wasn't doing it for any motive other than saving his son.
Well, that's what was going through his head as he was carrying Palpatine over to that shaft to throw him down there. He was thinking, Qui-Gon was right. I'm fulfilling the destiny. I must be the Chosen One. That's what he was thinking, right?
No. No. He was thinking, hey, stop electrocuting my son.
Right. Exactly.
and while you're doing that, here, go ahead and die.
Right. So and I'm with you 100% on that. Now, I understand, looking from the outside of the story in, we can make that Chosen One association, but
okay, so I'm going to take that one step further.
Sure.
Okay, so if Anakin was the Chosen One and he brought balance to the Force,
yep,
right? Everything that happened after Return of the Jedi is undoing that. Okay, so having a Snoke, having a Kylo is undoing Anakin's legacy, whether Palpatine's involved or not. So I think Palpatine's involvement is really inconsequential. I think anything that happens with the dark side of the Force after that moment undoes Anakin's Chosen One legacy. If that's the route people are taking, because there was no real balance to the Force achieved if Kylo's able to rise to power,
right?
If Snoke's able to rise to power,
right?
So I think the whole Chosen One legacy, I think that's going to be the whole legend and prophecy. I think that's going to be tied into the whole Error of the Jedi with dogma. Period.
Okay.
I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't think that Anakin throwing Palpatine down fulfills his legacy if there's a sequel trilogy. If 6 is the end, sure, he fulfilled that legacy.
Right.
That prophecy. But it didn't end there. So he didn't fulfill anything. So whether it's Palpatine that's the orchestrator of this, or it's Snoke, or it's Kylo, or whoever, the fact that this conflict's continuing undoes it no matter what. So if that's your argument, you're just checked out at this point no matter what happens.
Well, so I what I'm getting at is I just think that there's still opportunity for the Chosen One legend to still be fulfilled. I mean, somehow, some way, I think we're going to see some interaction with prior Jedi, let's say. Okay? I don't know who. I'm sure we're going to see a Force ghost of Luke. I'm hoping that we see some form or fashion of Anakin. And if... what?
So, just spitballing here. Do you think it's possible that the whole chosen one prophecy, right?
Yep.
Do you think that it's possible that Anakin denied that he denied his only chance to fulfill that legacy on Mortis? Do you think that's a possibility?
Possibility, I guess.
Because he was told that if he leaves, if he doesn't take up that, that place to control his son, the son,
right,
to control, the Force in the place of the father, he was pretty much told that he was turning his back on the prophecy.
Okay. Yeah, well, possibly.
That was he was pretty much told if he left there, then the son was going to be able to run rampant,
right,
to wreak havoc on the real world, especially with the death of the daughter,
right, which ends up coming true.
Yes.
So that's a good possibility. My only thing about that is that not being in the film canon, we'll say.
It's in the canon.
It's in the canon. But what I'm getting at is you're not going to make that argument with just anybody. Okay, we've talked about the casual Star Wars viewer before.
Yeah, I've seen the marketing. I don't think they care about those people anyway.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, you said you're going to be nice. So I definitely see what you're saying, but I think when it comes to making these films, they're really only going to be using the films as their reference material. That's what I honestly believe, because if we go into the Clone Wars, then we have the option of going into Rebels, and we might see the World Between Worlds and all this other.
Okay, so
I just don't see them going down that
then
road.
I got to ask, if you're only going to use the films as your reference material for the canon, why declare everything else canon?
Well, it's that's for us. It's not for the casual film goer.
Then why make a story like Mortis canon? I mean, that's deep.
It is deep, but it's for us. It's
if it's for us, if it's for the hardcores, for those who dive into it and really get involved, right?
Right.
What you're telling me though is that only stuff that happens in the film can have major repercussions on the canon, because we can't forget about the other people. So the other stuff, while it's cool, but it's only a minor repercussion.
I think you can have it both ways. But therein lies the trick of telling the story in a way that doesn't detract from either. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still tell a story and you don't have to mention anything about the Chosen One legend, okay, moving forward. But if Anakin were to come back in some form or fashion and take out Sidious in whatever form he's taken up here in Episode 9, then the prophecy still holds true.
But does that show a lack of commitment to the new characters? Because if that's how this story ends, what was the point of the new characters?
Well,
and I'll take it one step further. What was the point of the new characters, and what was the point of ignoring older characters to this point?
right. Well, that's going to be the trick of episode 9, because wherein you're right, okay. We did quote unquote ignore the old characters, right? But I don't think any of the new characters are really up to the task yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but
I don't think
at the same time, while I was upset at the lack of attention that the legacy characters got, I would be equally upset in the conclusion for a lack of attention for the new characters.
Well,
because what was my investment then if our new characters are not going to be responsible for taking down the big bad?
I think they're still going to serve a purpose. Okay.
But
what?
I think the building of Rey at this point is Rey is going to have to be responsible for taking down the big baddie yet to be established. But
Yeah.
that seems to be her purpose in this.
Well,
and if she doesn't do that,
or is her purpose to be the conduit for, one of these old Jedis to come finish the job?
like a vessel?
Kinda. I
Ooh,
mean,
I think that would be a hard pill for. You're talking about the casual fan. I think that would be a hard pill for the casual fan to swallow.
I'm not talking about, somebody possessing her physical form or anything like that, but I'm talking about them. She is the link through the Force for them to come back in the right place at the right time in order to finish the job. So if she couldn't make it there to where she needed to be,
Like in a corporeal sense?
possibly,
And,
possibly not. Okay, so we
Anakin's body didn't like disappear into the Force like Obi-Wan or Luke. Like he was burned,
burned
dude.
on a pyre. Absolutely.
Like he was set on fire. Like that you can't get more dead.
Right.
You can't get more dead than dying and get set on fire.
Hey, Yoda disappeared, okay? Yet somehow he still has his cane. He hit Luke in the forehead with it.
I know, but
I'm just saying. So
he disappeared into the Force.
right,
Like
yeah.
Anakin, like he disappeared into the wind. Like
All he is dust in the wind, dude.
here we go.
What?
Said, oh, here we go.
Yeah. So so seeing Force ghosts and stuff, right? So in episode 3, we got the mention from Yoda talking to Obi-Wan about learning from Qui-Gon. Through episode 4, Luke hears Obi-Wan, sees him on Hoth. Obi-Wan sits on a log in Return of the Jedi. And Yoda whacks Luke in the head, conjures up lightning in The Last Jedi. I think we are leaning more and more towards somebody actually coming back in a corporeal sense. This has been building throughout this series. So
is it Anakin that does it, or is it Luke that does it?
I think it's got to be Anakin. So another way to look at this thing, I mean, you brought up an excellent point with the Mortis thing, okay? But I think Anakin could have done it the quote-unquote easy way by taking the father's place on Mortis. But instead, wound up going the hard way. And it takes decades upon decades to finally be able to bring a conclusion to this ultimate evil, Insidious, and destroy him once and for all. I mean, I don't see why he couldn't, and it's being alluded to, right? That he is actually still somehow, in control. Everything is proceeding as he has foreseen it. He's, everything's coming together by his design.
So you're saying Anakin subverts that?
Let's not use that word, please.
Why is that?
So, what do you mean subverts that? I'm just saying Anakin finally takes out Sidious once and for all. And I think Rey has to be where she is when this goes down in order for Anakin to do what he's got to do in that place, in that moment. Because she is going to be his conduit through the Force. I don't think Force ghosts can just appear anywhere, anytime, just for the heck of it.
So does she have to be a Skywalker for this to happen?
No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying a Force ghost or whatever you want to call them. They only appear to other Jedi, right? It's not like they just appear to anybody. So
they only appear to Luke.
Thus far. I mean, true, but thus far.
I mean, the only other instance of a Force ghost you saw was, well, I take that back. Well, no, because the other one was a vision. It wasn't a Force ghost.
Right.
So the Kanan thing with the Grand Inquisitor there, that was a vision. Obi-Wan's I would classify as a vision too on Mortis, not necessarily communing with a Force ghost.
Right.
So the only person who's ever seen a Force ghost and communed with them is Anakin. Or Luke.
So, let me ask you this question, though. Has anyone else heard them? In The Force Awakens, did Rey hear Obi-Wan? These are your first steps. Or was that all part of her vision?
Well, I think she heard him.
So you think that was actually Obi-Wan from the Beyond telling her?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think it was part of the vision.
Okay. So,
but she did hear Obi-Wan.
Right.
Even though, well, that line, Rey, these are your first steps.
Right.
It doesn't really sound like a vision talking. It sounds more like a Force ghost talking.
Right.
So it's possible that Obi-Wan was actually communing with her.
Right. I'm kind of thinking he was waiting for this to happen. In a sense, right? And he was just letting her know. These are your first steps. Here we go. I a lot of ways we can interpret this stuff, but I'm thinking she could be the conduit for one of these old Jedi to come back. Hopefully Anakin. Take out Palpatine.
What about this? We talked about Kylo having to make a sacrifice to put an end to all this early on, right?
Yep. Yeah.
What if Anakin communing with Kylo is the driving force in that, as opposed to Anakin coming back in a corporeal sense? What if Anakin actually reaching out from beyond to, for the first time, actually, and maybe we can go with that, like Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader are two separate presence in the Force. Though they were the same being in the real world, in the Force they are two separate entities.
Possibility. It's a possibility, but you know,
And that
we have
Anakin Skywalker's the driving force for Kylo Ren to be redeemed. Because I think at this point, everything I'm seeing, and we're gonna wrap this conversation up and move right into the next thing we were going to talk about. And I think this connects. What if Kylo Ren is? There's no way he's going to be that big bad of this portion of the saga. It's just not going to happen.
I
He's
don't
too
think he can
conflicted.
be.
He can't be the big baddie.
right.
This is why they're bringing in Palpatine. So what if Anakin actually reaches to him and he is the one that finishes it? You got Skywalker blood. You know, he's of Anakin's descent, so you know, by default, Anakin's still fulfilling the prophecy because it's his kin.
Right. So Luke brings Anakin back from the dark side so that Anakin could bring Kylo back, bring Ben back from the dark side to
Finally finish Palpatine.
what he started. Oh, and the circle is complete.
Yes.
It's a possibility. So
Now we'll go into that other thing because
you're talking the helmet.
the helmet
Okay.
and JJ's comments about the mask.
Okay. So this, I'm taking this from IGN, which I believe is still from this Empire article, but this is JJ talking Kylo's repaired helmet. So having him be masked, but also fractured, is a very intentional thing, Abrams said, as an interview. Like that classic Japanese process of taking ceramics and repairing them, and how the breaks in a way define the beauty of the piece as much as the original itself. As fractured as Ren is, the mask becomes a visual representation of that. There's something about this that tells his history. His mask doesn't ultimately hide him, and his behavior is revealed.
So what that tells me, Kylo's still conflicted. There's no way he's our big bad in this story.
Right.
And if he is, then he's a weak big bad.
Yeah, I have to agree there. How do you put it? So in The Force Awakens, right? He's struggling. He's talking to Vader's mask, struggling. You know, I feel the pull of the light. In The Last Jedi, he's having these feelings for Rey when they're having their communications through the Force. This is not the emotional state of pure evil, right? I mean,
Exactly.
a character like Sidious,
Which
would be figuring out how to use things like the communications with Rey and stuff to his advantage, you know, right? I
Right.
mean, and that's it. You know, whatever it would
he
be
would
going
see
on.
Rey's connection to Kylo as naivety and
Yes,
a weakness that he could exploit.
right.
Whereas Kylo's actually feeling a real connection there, so he's not looking to exploit that. He tries to exploit it,
Right.
but fails in it because he's not sincere with exploiting it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for all the evil things that Kylo's done, which are numerous, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I've said the exact opposite on this show before. I don't think he could be redeemed with as much bad as he's done. But looking at it from this angle, right? This conflicted kid kind of angle, right?
He's never fully given himself to that. Like,
to what? The dark side?
to the dark side.
Exactly.
To that cause. He's never fully committed. I mean, you saw conflict in him after he killed his father. There was no resolve there.
Right.
You saw this look like I should feel different now.
Right.
But I don't.
Exactly.
What's wrong with me? Like, that's what you see. He's looking at his hand, you know.
Snoke even brought it up.
Yeah. You know, he couldn't separate himself from that light. And maybe that is the Skywalker fate. They can't fully divide themselves from that. Anakin couldn't.
Right.
Luke was able to resist it entirely.
Right.
And now Ben is fooling himself to think that he can do it. Like, Anakin went down that road because of fear of loss and attachment and was able to make it further than any of them in the path of the dark side, but it ultimately came back.
Right. Because
that was not his nature. His nature as a Skywalker was to do good in the end.
Yes.
And that's what Luke was able to do throughout his, career, if you will.
Right, right.
And Ben is fooling himself to think he can be like his grandfather when his grandfather wasn't doing so willingly. He was doing so out of what he thought was necessity.
Right.
Whereas Kylo, it's not necessity for him. He doesn't have to be doing what he's doing, but he desires it to be, of a certain legacy.
So what you're saying is,
probably tricked by Snoke into thinking that, like, this is your destiny to be like your grandfather.
Right. Well, maybe Snoke believed it. Because, really, when you think about it, we don't know the extent of Snoke's abilities or how much he's in touch with the Force, the dark side, right? We know he's got, something, but we don't know if he was like a true Sidious type character or if he was a poser himself.
Well, with the way he died, I'm leaning poser.
Yeah, exactly. So, because he thought, Skywalker blood, right?
Yeah.
Could be like Vader. Maybe he wasn't really gauging Kylo to the fullest extent that like someone like Sidious could.
He probably tried to leverage that out of pure arrogance.
Right.
Oh, I can trick this kid into this because, this is a good line. It's
Right.
your destiny. This is your lineage. Luke failed to see it. And making Luke out to seem like the failure for not,
right,
following in the family footsteps, if you will.
Yeah, that's a story I'd love to have seen. Really, I mean, it in a lot of ways that could rival the story of Anakin.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, your grandfather ended up failing because he was weak. He couldn't follow through.
Right.
Luke was the weakest of all because he couldn't accept his lineage. He couldn't pursue his destiny.
Right.
Now it's on you. You could truly bring peace to the galaxy.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole faux pas,
Yeah. I mean, and that you just said it. That is the angle that they're always looking at it from. We can bring peace through tyranny, but peace, right?
Yeah.
To the galaxy.
And I think the Sith, from everything we've read, that's always been the Sith's goal,
Sure.
is peace. It's just a different road to it, and a cruel road.
Right.
But the goal is peace, no more war.
Right.
You know, we know what's best for you.
Exactly.
You know?
Interesting.
Absolute peace by absolute rule.
Right. So I could see it. I could see it. I mean, so if Anakin could not come back in a corporeal form, maybe he could come back to simply show Ben what he's been missing. You know, you're looking for everything in the wrong places, basically, and
Right.
you know, this could allow him to take out Sidious. I just hope it's not like a rehash of, you know, what happened with Snoke. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be something more grand. I think the way Kylo was able to take out Snoke kind of you know, it I thought Snoke was something more than what he turned out to be because of the way he got taken out, if that makes sense.
I mean, it was a good way to take him out, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it just proves that he wasn't as in tune to the Force as we thought, maybe. And
Yeah, but it shows that dark side tendency of arrogance.
arrogance. Yeah, he's definitely arrogant.
Yeah. He was so arrogant, he wasn't seeing what was right in front of him.
right.
He was feeling those feelings. But he was so convinced that Kylo was on his side and Kylo was loyal to him,
Right.
that when Kylo's thinking he's going to strike down his true enemy, you know, he didn't think true enemy meant him. He thought true enemy was the Jedi,
Right.
you know, or Rey. You
Right.
know, it was. I thought that scene was well played as to how to take out someone of that level of power, because they showcase that with, you know, Kylo goes to stand up and he just gets blasted across the room, and
Yeah.
Snoke shot that lightning bolt at the floor.
Yes.
So that showed a level of power that is really unrivaled
I guess.
in the cinematic sense.
Yes. I mean, Sidious.
Yeah, and nothing we've seen on screen, Sidious hasn't compared on screen,
Right.
because the films is all they care about.
Right. I don't know. Hey, it could go down that way. I think these new characters are going to be the conduits for which the old characters are brought back in to finish things, in my opinion. I think these new characters are going to be completely necessary, okay? But I don't think any of them, Kylo, Rey, are strong enough to be the end-all, be-all of this epic dark light battle.
Well,
I mean, I think it's been illustrated pretty well to us, because, you know, we've just outlined how Kylo is conflicted. He is not really he's not evil like Sidious was evil, right? Rey, she simply hasn't gotten enough experience as a Jedi yet to do what needs to be done, in my opinion. Maybe we'll see all that transpire in episode 9, but I think that'd be a long way to go.
I think her growth in this series is defined by exceeding expectations on where she could go in this short period of time. So I'm not so sure that that's true.
Okay.
Rey's power levels have grown exponentially in short periods of time with very minimal training. And damn it, I'm going to do it again. But at the same time, I think the idea that they're going to give an absolute damn about the legacy characters, I have a hard time believing it.
Yeah. Well, this is where I'm saying JJ mentioned the previous chapters, right? Said all of the pieces are laid out in the previous 8 episodes. So I believe it is going to be some sort of something that brings all those prior episodes into the climax of this one. So that's what I think.
Which is why I lean towards Kylo being the one to bring about the end.
Could be.
But I also believe that it will result in his death along the way.
I think, I honestly believe that would be the only way to satisfy anyone who may think Kylo is beyond redemption. I think that would be satisfying for those folks, and for those who don't feel that way, Kylo still gets to be the source of the bringer of balance, I guess. You know?
I mean, it's either that or Rey's a Skywalker and she kills all of them.
Could happen. Could happen. We'll have to wait and see, huh?
Yeah, we will definitely have to wait and see. Well, I guess at this point, I guess we'll call it here. If you have anything to add, you can always email us. show@thewarsandmore.com is the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.